good morning. Thank you for joining me again today. My goodness, I can't believe I had 4 videos yesterday. Whew, that was a record. I don't expect to be doing that, but this week, I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think I had 2 each day, which I hadn't really realized that until yesterday when I was looking at my whole thing. Um, I mentioned last night, and to just reiterate, everything I say is my opinion only, surely for the sake of conversation and entertainment and hopefully education, right? We're all trying to learn. Um, we all have strong feelings probably about the report being released last night, um, saying that this was surely an accident and no foul play. Absolutely absurd. Like, let's just start with the basic foul play of Sammy Smith admitting that she was drinking alcohol with a 16-year-old, that she was sharing cups and sharing drinks, and they were trading back and forth all night. So not just alcohol, but hard alcohol. She said they were doing shots. And I'm not sure if the drinking age around there for beer and lighter alcohol is 18, but it ain't 18 for hard alcohol. That's always 21 in every state, as far as I know. So how about some prosecution there, Truckee? Hey, Kate, you. Good morning. Thank you. So I know that this is working. Um, yeah, like let's just start with the basics. Let's hold people accountable for their actions and um, you know, can we petition AWP to release more footage? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to want to do that or not want to do that. They were very clear that they had a whole bunch more that they would release dependent on how the case proceeded. And I don't know what they meant by that. Like, at first I thought, oh, so if there's a cover up, they're going to put more out there, or if they're going with foul play, they're going to put more out there. I really personally didn't know how to read that statement when Doug said it in one of their podcasts. If you have an opinion like that, put it in the comments and I'll read it out loud, because I had no idea. I still have no idea what he meant exactly. Things can be taken a lot of different ways. And I just can't help but feel like this was such a ridiculous 1-2 sucker punch. We had Megan come out with all this ludicrous crap, in my opinion. I mean, she had 0 credibility. She sounded completely drunk the first day. As she went on, she actually sounded like she was sobering up and wisening up. Doug says, "What?" I go back. And then, I didn't catch all of her interviews, but I mean, it was just weird. And it was so much like the exact same pattern as FS Investigates when he went on I said it yesterday, on these blitz interview panel things, and then into the wee hours of the night, and then he just disappeared, kind of, sort of. And that is exactly what Megan did. And all that talk of, oh, you'll know in the next 24 hours something's being released. I can't tell you what, but you'll know when it is. And then that tape, AWP stated on their community page that they would back Ellie's decision. Of course they did. And that was what I kind of figured, is that they would release more videotape if they were going with foul play. So yeah, AWP does not want to interfere with law enforcement. It's not their place. However, it is the public's place to interfere with law enforcement. Say that tongue in cheek, not to interfere, but to demand justice. It is literally on all of us. That is how democracy works. And if we allow the fascism, then we don't have democracy. And too many people have fought and died to protect our freedoms, I can't let it go. I cannot. Live free or die is the motto for New Hampshire. It's been my motto since I was a kid, before I knew that it was a state motto. Let's read some of these. Doug says he was going to release more when they reported liability stuff, so no more from them minors right now. I've gone and signed all of Squirrel Girl's petitions. Great, great, great. I absolutely agree with you. The public needs to speak up. Yes, we do. And petitions are one way to do that. There are many ways to do it. Writing letters to the newspaper, if they'll print them. We can think of more, right? It's kind of early. Brain's still turning on. I just wanted to get on here because I wanted you guys to know that I'm here for you. That affidavit I read yesterday at 3:00 has already had more than 6,000 views. The one that I did a month ago, the same document that I read, that still has like 600 views. So, I finally realized, like, people aren't going to dig for it, or if they do dig for it, they might not find it, because I kept checking it to see if the views were going up. Not that I am trying to get clicks, but just that I want that information out there in the public arena. If people want to just look it up and read it themselves, or get the information some other way, I am 100% okay with that. I just know that in this day and age, a lot of us would rather watch a podcast of it than read it ourselves. And yeah, reading it out loud for the 23 minutes that I did yesterday is a good exercise. I mean, you're breathing, you're drinking your water, articulating. I did pretty well, except for that one word, mamandus, I think is how you say it. So the writ of a mamandus, to me, is insane that there's a word for it, first off. For anybody who hasn't looked it up yet, a writ of a mamandus is a governing entity ordering a lower governing entity to follow the law and to do their job. That should be a given. You shouldn't have to have a writ. You shouldn't have to make a legal motion to get a governing body to do their job and to do it legally. And the fact that there is a whole process for that and a whole language for that is horrifying to me. It's also, good that there's a word for it, good that there's an action for it. Let me read some of this. So yeah, sign the petitions, please. Doug says, I'm backing the law, backing way back and calling them liars. I like that. Kate Yu says, so do you think the autopsy results are suspicious or show any wrongdoings? Or do you think it is as you suspected? It's totally as I suspected, but, I am being very careful in what I expose my brain to, because I don't want it to melt. And I just think it's all crap. I saw somebody said that the report said that Kylie was 5'5" and 103 pounds, and we know that's not true, that there was no mention of her tattoo. I want to read these before they fly by me. Pam Schaefer Pitt says, there were omissions in that report. That should tell you everything you need to know. Right. And I don't think any of us have any more respect for Nevada County Sheriff Office than we do for Placer County Sheriff's Office. Am I right? These people are not the types of people that should be in the business of law enforcement, and they are certainly not the type of people that should be in charge. People like the sheriff of Placer County. Let's see, whose son was one of the 6 Nates that was at that party, according to my information that I've cross-referenced. So, Mega Pints and Muffins says to Doug, I knew the investigation was in trouble when the sheriff didn't know what red tape meant. I think that was, a captain. That was the guy with the goatee that worked for Nevada County, and I think, if I'm remembering accurately, I just rewatched that the other day, and yeah, he was like, "Red tape? Huh? What? Do we have red tape? I don't even know what that is." Cod Swallop said, "I still have to go and watch that." Lying by omission, Mega Pints and Muffin says, "Yes, yes, yes." Omission is lying. It is absolutely lying. Doug says, "I heard that the little blonde came home wet, Max, not Sammy, but then it was blamed that Sammy was wet. I'm sure it was Max in the beginning. I'm putting Max in that driver's seat." Max? I don't know if I know who Max is. Mm, Mags. Okay, Mags. So it's Magdalene Larson. I started to talk about her sweat jacket, the hoodie with the Lana Del Rey on it, and how they were saying like, oh, that Kylie has that jacket that she had borrowed from a friend. And I believe that it was reported that that was Mags's hoodie. And I had wondered from the outset if Sammy was trying to orchestrate implicating Mags in order to keep her quiet. So I have been very suspicious from the beginning that Sammy had Mags and Kate deliver Kylie to her so she could fight her. And um, they didn't know she was going to die. And, I kind of suspect, again, this is my opinion, and I have reason to think this based on the evidence. So it's okay for me to say it. Um, I have suspected all along that Sammy was up to no good, and that not only was it orchestrated, but that she may have been planning to extinguish Kylie's life. I think they were fighting over Jagger for a while. I think that they also were maybe fighting over Nate. Perhaps Sammy was dating a different boy at the time. I don't know. I mean, you know how teenagers are. But they were both extremely pretty and they were fighting for the same guys. And people get insane when it comes to that stuff, especially when it comes to rejection. When you're dealing with a personality disordered person, they absolutely cannot tolerate rejection or abandonment. And that is, I think, what we're dealing with. That Sammy had been maybe Jagger was still hung up on Kylie when she was dating him. Maybe Nate was dating Sammy and then dumped her and started dating Kylie. I don't know. Apparently, Sammy had a new boyfriend, um, and he might be in Santa Cruz now. And I think I used him on my thumbnail for one of my videos, and he's wearing like a brown hat and sunglasses, and he's got his arms crossed, and he's just looking highly suspicious. So I honestly am overwhelmed and feeling confused, and just all of the gaslighting. That's what gaslighting does to you, and it really is effective, and it makes you want to give up. And like I said in another video, these are professional gaslighters. So when you're being gaslit, you just have to recognize that that's what's going on, and you'll get through it. I've been gaslit before. I think we all have. Boycott Truckee, boycott Squaw. Okay, and you're not supposed to call it Squaw, somebody said, because they've changed it because it was, kind of a derogatory Native American thing. So now they're calling it Palisades, something Palisades. Boycott Boreal, boycott Tahoe, boycott North Star, boycott Heavenly, boycott Sugar Bowl, boycott Soda Springs, Justice for Kylie. I agree, Crystal. I mean, I don't want to hurt the innocent people of the community that are upset by this too. However, I think boycotting the entire area will get a very clear message across to those in charge. So, it's a huge cash flow, the ski season. One of the locals has been commenting that the ski seasons aren't as long or as good as they used to be. That wouldn't surprise me just because, the weather patterns change. But that is the tourist attraction that the area depends on and has for as far back as the Donner Party. Oh my goodness. I really think that that whole Donner Party mentality is so much of this dog eat dog type of mentality, and so much of the, like, we don't care if we eat our relatives or our friends because you do what you got to do in order to survive. That is the vibe that everybody is emanating in that area in my experience. I've been there handfuls of times, and every time people bring it up constantly and they joke about it and just act like it's nothing. Um, so Wollstingholm 1965 said the fact that she could hardly walk as she was so drunk, she obviously wasn't, as the alcohol was minimal in her system. AWP needs to release the video. I absolutely agree that AWP needs to release the video. I'm sure that if they do, they're lawyering up. And honestly, I feel like if they don't, I'm gonna cancel my freaking membership. Like, I'm not giving people that are gonna go with a cover up my money. Um, Mega Pints and Muffin says, and especially personality disorder mixed with drugs. Yes, good point. Um, so yeah, when and stress, stress really brings us down to our lowest level of functioning. That is when you see people's mental illness and their nastiness. And if they have a personality disorder, that's when it shows, is when they're stressed out, like going through a breakup or getting fired. I was talking about that yesterday. Getting Having a work situation go bad and having a romantic situation go bad are very similar as far as how it affects people's self-esteem and abandonment issues and trauma. So when you have PTSD, which a lot of people do, um, any trauma is going to kind of reactivate your trauma, your old trauma. So it doesn't matter if you've had a lot of therapy and you're all well glued together and you're, in touch with your feelings and all that. Something traumatic happens, like a girl in your community is murdered and there's a cover up, or your cat gets hit by a car. Something traumatic will trigger everybody who has PTSD. So they're all going to be reactive and they're all going to be at their lowest level of functioning. So there's going to be a lot of war, basically, psychological warfare. Um, Apparently, her phone was spotted and buried in a hole at the top of the bank where her car went in. Squirrel Girl has a video posted. Check it out. I will. And T Berry says, I have PTSD and it's horrible. I mean, I have PTSD and I don't want to say it's horrible. It has been at times. I really feel like everything can be looked at in different ways. Like in that book, The Gift of Fear. Fear is a gift that helps us navigate. And post-traumatic stress disorder, I don't want to say that it's a gift, but it gives you gifts that you are more compassionate to other folks. Um, you know, there's a flip side to everything. Everything, the yin and the yang. Everything good has something bad that comes along with it, and everything bad has something good that comes along with it. So, like in this situation with Kylie dying, it brings communities together, like the YouTube true crime community. So something horrible and something good. And then something good happens, like um I can't think of an example right now because I'm just so focused on what happened last night with that stupid report. Um I really I've never felt like I am psychic. A lot of people kind of accuse me of being psychic, and I say that ESP is extrasensory perception. Um, I felt a vibe yesterday that we were gonna get a press release, and I haven't really had that on other days. I haven't really Googled press release all day like I was yesterday. And, maybe that's why I put out so many videos, and maybe that's why I went ahead and did the affidavit one even after I'd already had 2 videos yesterday, because, um, I just felt it. I felt it coming. I was so not surprised when I saw it last night, and, I'm just glad that I had kinda braced myself. I expected it fully, completely after Megan, which was ludicrous, and after the videotape release, which to me is ludicrous. I don't care if that videotape is the real deal. Why in the world is it circulating on YouTube? That is stupid. That's absolutely stupid. You degrade your evidence, you compromise the integrity of your investigation. That shit should be thrown out and not usable in a court of law. But they're not dealing with the court of law. They're dealing with the court of public opinion. And that's what we need to recognize here. They're taking their case rather than allowing it to go to trial. They're putting it through social media trial, which is goofy. I mean, social media is goofy, right? You just, it's really frustrating to me. But it seemed like such a organized effort with Megan and that videotape, and it just seemed so obvious to me that they were paving the way to then say, "See, look, it's an accident, just like Megan said, and just like the videotape proved. You saw it with your own eyes, and we all know you cannot believe everything you see, and things are not always what they seem." I dreamed Kylie was holding a handful of the shiniest dimes ever, then saw that she had DNA under her fingernails. I wish someone could tell me what it means. Wow. So let me finish with my thought of what I was saying about extrasensory perception. Um, that's all it is, just being extremely tuned in to your senses and paying attention to information like yesterday when there was just radio silence, just crickets from law enforcement, like there had been ever since their last press release, which was, I think, August 22nd. Um, and then to have Megan come out, oh, sorry, do you hear the sirens, the medics? To have Megan come out and then to have the government, the official government California fire thing come out. Was expecting to get something from law enforcement. So when we got nothing from law enforcement, I just was getting more and more suspicious. And I didn't put it together until the information did come out last night that yesterday was the 13th of October. And as goofy as it sounds, these people that are part of this weirdness are in love with the number 13, and I get it. I mean, I've always liked the number 13 just because, I feel like if it's bad luck for a lot of people, it's gotta be good luck for some people, and I've always had good luck with the number 13. It's always been my choice for athletics if I had the option. If I didn't have the option for 13, I'd go with 4 because it's like the 1 and the 3 added together. Um but, I had just said yesterday or the day before about how November 1st is a big holiday for these people or whatever they call it. Halloween is huge, but the day after Halloween, I think, is even huger. I haven't Googled that. And, I rely on Google for a lot of things. A lot of time just to confirm what I'm thinking to see if it's accurate. And I don't think Google is always 100% accurate. I have seen things that Google doesn't have. We probably all have, right? Um, one of the things I wanted to add about bipolar disorder and just the characteristics of bipolar disorder, The main thing with mania or hypomania is the erratic behavior. And, we've seen erratic behavior with Sammy, coming out and speaking publicly and the pressured speech, the talking really fast, the jumping around, those videos that she's posted and taken down, that's all erratic behavior. And I'm not diagnosing her as bipolar, but I am noticing characteristics of mania or hypomania. And just being dangerous. But bipolar disorder and personality disorders do have a lot of shared characteristics. And I think there's no doubt that Sammy is a narcissist, um, and a sociopath and probably borderline. And same for the dude that keeps showing up everywhere, who's like in charge of everything and in charge of nothing. And the other dude, his sidekick. And then there's Verna. Are you guys familiar with Verna that kept showing up everywhere? And she was like videotaping out there at the Prosser Lake at night, and she was on Zav Girl. I think I spoke about it yesterday. And people were attacking her, like, who is she? She's weird. And Zav Girl was defending her, like, oh, she's just this nice person who's helping us out. And she might be a little weird, but be easy on her. And, it seems like she was up to no good. I don't know if you guys heard about, it was Captain Kurt Reacts who was doing a live and had somebody like whip out their member, and, he had to shut his live down and delete it or clip that part out, because when you have that in your live, that's totally breaking all the rules of YouTube, and you can get kicked out of YouTube forever. And so that's what these people that want to shut down the channels do. And apparently, shortly after Captain Kurt Reacts had that happen in his live, I think Zav had it happen with two people in a live, and Verna was in that live. And I think that, because I saw a part of it and I was really confused when I couldn't locate it for a few days. And she didn't talk about it much, but other people have talked about it. So I think that Check It TV was in the chat. So Verna and Check It TV were both there when this happened, and a couple of dudes came on to be, panel guests and expose themselves. And my God, people, like, have some class, have some self-respect. I mean, these people are just freaking nuts, no pun intended, but it shows you how desperate they are. They were so desperate to try to counteract these YouTube true crime folks. So, Captain Kurt's star had been rising super fast, and, Zav Girl is a go-to. I don't know how many of these people may have been threatened or may have been paid off, and I don't believe that that's conspiracy theory. I think that those are valid questions. Um, is it true Lily's mom will get a payoff from life insurance or any inheritance? It's Kate, thank you for putting that up there, because we'll see. I think that it very well might be true. I think that because it was called an accident, that there's double indemnity, and that I've heard that Kylie had a trust fund from her grandfather. And something that I thought of, I put it in one of my videotapes, is that Sammy's parents work for the National Park System. That's who all their contracts are with their private eye investigative firm. And I'm wondering if Kylie's family can sue the Prosser Creek owners, which is the National Park System, for saying that the bank is not safe, that, the boat launch is not safe, and then they can get a settlement. Most lawsuits don't go to trial. Only 2% of lawsuits go to trial. And whenever there's a settlement, there's also a gag order. so you're not allowed to speak about it. And when things are active, you're not really allowed to speak about it either. It's just not smart. So, um, I've wondered if that was all part of the plan. And I hate to say that all part of the plan. I'd hate to think that any of this crap is planned out, but I think that it is, or it could be. Mm. So let me look at my notes and just see if, let me just state very clearly that when that presser came out last night, they had to hit while the iron was hot. They had to hit right after the Megan, right after the video was released, and people were paying attention and people were buying it. And if they waited, people might start questioning it more. So they absolutely had to strike while the iron was hot. That was methodically planned, in my opinion. Um, and they had primed YouTube with all of that. And I wanted to talk about the domestic violence because it's my understanding that Kylie's stepfather is an ex-con and that he was put in jail for domestic violence. I don't know if that was before Lindsay met him or after, but people that are prone to domestic violence are not prone to changing. And even if they can control their violent behavior, all of the attributes of the emotional abuse, the controlling behavior, the psychological abuse are usually still there. And one of the um, major tools that a abuser uses is isolation. You need to isolate your victim from any support network, whether that's friends, family, um, agencies, and often it happens in these more remote areas. Like Alaska is really bad for domestic violence and for violence against women. Um, in more rural areas where people don't have neighbors or people can't run for help and your cell phone's not working, like, what are you going to do? It's awful. And again, I bring up the Gabby Petito case. So sad. And then when you have domestic violence and you have it in a national park and they have their own law enforcement, what type of involvement did Sammy's parents have with the Gabby Petito case? I don't know. I don't know, but I know that there's been a lot of cross-referencing with people involved in Kylie Rodney's case that had some type of connection to Gabby Petito's case. And maybe that's just kind of the cover up of that it happened on national park land and they're trying to protect the national park land interest. That too is a huge moneymaker. It costs a lot of money to go to the parks and to get annual memberships or day passes. And they're a huge draw. Tourists from all over the world come to see our national parks. We have some beautiful, beautiful places in our country, and we're really fortunate to have that. But if gross things are going to happen in these jurisdictions, it's not safe to go there. So, when you talk about boycotting Truckee, just think about that. If one of their own that was born and raised there is not safe, how safe are tourists? Most places will treat their locals better than they treat their tourists. Although I do know of places that will treat the tourists way better than they treat the locals because, the tourists are the cash flow, but the locals are the ones that are going to be doing all the hard, heavy lifting, right? So let me read a few more of these. Mark Morris, she knew what was going to happen and she left everything and they can't figure out how she did it. Oh, I got to go back and read what was going on before that. They didn't even get her height right. I know, or her weight. So begs the question, was it really her? I hate to go there, but also leaving out the tattoo. The 17 tattoo was mentioned on the report. Okay, good. It better be. Um, get with your other creators because they are gathering evidence to fight this. We are all behind you guys. Absolutely. There are a few other creators that I've identified that, I'm connected with. Some of my go-to creators I'm just not connecting with because they are just wanting to wrap it up with a bow and move on, and to each their own. They can do what they want to do, but I don't want to confuse myself with that crap. So better mountains in Colorado and Wyoming and Montana, and there's just a lot of beautiful land in Washington State, Idaho. My family, we went up to Michigan this summer. Outrageous. If you have not been to the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, I have heard of good things about it my whole life. I finally made it there. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. My oldest daughter's an attorney. She just laughed when I told her the outcome. She said, "Of course it's an accident." Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been around this stuff, and yeah, it was absolutely no surprise. The only surprise is that they were stupid enough to wait that long, because waiting that long was another giveaway. If they knew it was an accident, they would have said that early on, that all indications are there's an accident. We'll have the report soon. But they gave themselves 9 weeks to try to pull something out of the hat, some magic trick. And then they came up with their little plan. They executed their little plan, and then they got it done a little bit early because, they're just that good. They might have needed this next couple of weeks to really double down and pull it off more better. So I'm sure there's a lot of holes in their little scheme here, and I definitely think it's a little scheme. I'm absolutely floored. The autopsy is so obvious. No water in the lungs mentioned. Isn't that kind of strange? Well, yeah, if they're going to say drowning, that's stupid. We have to pay attention to the way she was apparently identified during that autopsy. Doesn't make sense. Accidental death pays out more in life insurance. Almost always it's double. And then you have car insurance too, probably, that it happened in a car. And then you might have payout from the national park system because it happened at a national park. So this might just be, nest egg after nest egg after nest egg. I don't know. Anyway, where am I at? 37 minutes. Yikes. I'm going to wrap it up. You might hear from me again today. Thank you kindly for watching, you guys, and keep the faith. Definitely let's all work together. Dividing and conquering was one part of their little plan that worked really well with dividing up the YouTube true crime community and having it be the us and the them, the people that believed the video or Megan or not believed. If you're going to believe the video, then you got to be stupid enough to believe Megan. And I don't want to be a jerk to people that have a different opinion, but it is horrible to me that people with the different opinion seem to be being complete jerks to my side, our side of not buying this crap. And, we don't need to talk down to each other. It's okay to have different opinions. Let's not give them the ability to divide and conquer, because that is part of the psychops, right? On that, drink your water, eat your fruits, eat your veggies, eat your protein, get your exercise, fresh air, be kind to yourself and others. And it's Friday, TGIF, and I will speak with you on the flip side. Thank you so much, folks. And end it.